Honey, I don't feel like it, but I'm in a terrible mess and I'm going to have to go away for a few days to an event.
But how many days? And you're going to leave me with the kids? Alone?
I tell you, it's an obligation. These people have organized a nautical council there and I can't miss it. I have to think about my career as a nautical YouTuber.
I already know your obligations as a YouTuber. A lot of obligation, and it is more pleasure than obligation, but well, and where is it? Where do you have to go?
Well, to the south. It's to the south, to Cartagena, to the south.
To the south! I would go south and I would leave the three of you at home more good than good, because come on, between one and the other you drive me crazy.
Greetings sailors and welcome to a new episode of The Local Sailor. This time we are going on a trip, we are going on a nautical council and sailing along the coast between Cartagena and the Mar Menor. We are going south.
South? Oops. Well, I'm sorry, man. 'Cause that's a dry land. You must have been really hot there.
You'll see when I tell you, it's scary. Taking me out of our gloomy and grey north is too much for me. What if I get some sun? We're not used to that here. And with how comfortably we sleep bundled up, going down south?
That's what I've been told. Plus, they've told me there's a ball of fire in the sky and gives warmth.
Yes, it illuminates.
But at least the trip is okay, right? Because it's, 2 weeks to get there? More or less.
No, but on top of that, I have to go down by car. I don't even get 2 weeks of vacation anymore, not even by miracle, not even from my family, not even from work, not even the south. Phew! Well, in today's episode, we're heading south. We'll meet up with a bunch of followers, eat, enjoy ourselves, and sail a bit in all kinds of conditions along the Mediterranean coast. And why not? We'll bring plenty of toys to take advantage of the wonders of the calm seas, crystal clear waters, good weather, and wind. There was none of that. See you on our return. Over 2 years ago, we formed a small brotherhood on YouTube driven by Sailor George called the YouTube Council. It was an effort to showcase boating in a different way with a group of people who were doing nautical things on YouTube in a unique manner. We did several live online council meetings where we got together and talked about our stuff and our views on boating. Then, thanks to Paula from Allende Los Mares, we managed to meet in person in Castellón over a year ago. Well, we missed each other and wanted to see each other and you all again, so without hesitation we decided to get together in Cartagena for a live council. And while we're at it, we'll meet some followers in person, and why not? Eat, drink and sail, because that's always a good idea.
Eat, drink and sail. That's t-shirt fodder, that is. Eat, drink and sail.
Well, I don't know if we had one like that. Almost. Eat, sleep, sail.
Well, it works for me.
It was frowned upon to mention drinking, I think. But we all thought it. Cartagena, in the region of Murcia, is basically on the opposite corner of the country. But well, anything to get together. I would have loved to go by boat, but clearly sailing around the peninsula for almost 2 weeks just to get there, not counting the return trip, is not within the freedoms I currently have with my family, work, and all the daily obligations. I dream of sailing for 2 weeks straight, but those dreams remain just that. By car, it's only a 9-hour trip. 9 hours. What a drag. I'd be less reluctant to spend 2 weeks on a boat than 9 hours in a car. I had never been to Murcia or Cartagena, and all the southern stereotypes I had been reminded of lately were still echoing in my mind.
To the south, you will die of heat there.
South? Really? With how beautiful the green is, if that's a dry land.
South, and you're going by car?
By car, but with how stingy you are, the parking attendants will scratch it or steal it for sure.
To the south, you're going to get sunburned. You have to wear sunscreen.
To the south, you're not going to hear anything. They talk very strange.
Heading south, make sure you eat beforehand, because those people batter lemon tree leaves and call it, it's like a dessert. They call it paparajo, paharapo. I don't know what they call it, but yeah, eat before you go, because you're going to be starving.
I was prepared to roast in the heat and sun because I still remember how hot it was when I went to see Juan Merediz in Valencia, so I wasn't really sure what to expect.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, officer.
Do you know how fast you were driving?
I was a little absent-minded. Maybe I was going a little too fast.
You are driving at 30 on the highway.
At 30, it's just that, look, I have to go to give a talk in the south to Cartagena with all that heat, and I handle that very poorly. I don't do well with it. I'm very much from the north.
I had a brother-in-law who did his military training in Cartagena. He was so hot that his slippers fell apart. Nothing. So go on, be careful, and take care, and lots of encouragement. Come on, let's go.
At least I brought the car loaded with toys to try to make the trip worthwhile and spend a few extra days there. Diving in the crystal clear waters of the Mediterranean Sea in Murcia with my scuba diving equipment, or doing some kite surfing in the Mar Menor, which I had heard very good things about this area. How optimistic I am. Before starting the council, and after visiting the facilities kindly provided by the University of Cartagena, I did not want to miss the opportunity to go sailing for a while, and Jorge offered to sail at night, see the stars, have dinner on board and all that in the calm waters of the Mediterranean, or so I imagined it. Well, maybe Jorge also imagined it that way, because come on, we left the port of Cartagena and a rough sea, full of waves and gusty wind, was waiting for us. The plan to dine afloat and sail was a bit ruined, but at least it gave us the chance to do a few lengths and enjoy the interior of the port while we saw the super luxury yachts, the Spanish submarine, and some that even had an unwrapped helicopter. It must have been a surprise gift, and they had given it to him wrapped, so he didn't know it was the gift.
Did it have a loop?
No, but come on, it was wrapped like that. I think it was the classic one where you get something and you shake it like this and say, I think I know what it is.
A helicopter?
A helicopter. But well, the truth is we enjoyed the sail, had dinner at the port, and then retired to rest, finally. Sergei and I shared a fabulous 50-footer that Luis had lent us, and we woke up there the next morning. There is so much space on a 50-foot sailboat. Compared to mine, it felt super large. It seemed like the door was so far from my cabin. Though I must say, you quickly get used to the good life. By the second day, it didn't seem that big anymore. But well, with quite a bit of improvisation, we went to give our shared talk with all the followers who were encouraged to come, those who decided to follow us live, and those who still want to watch it on Sailor Yorch's YouTube channel, where the full video is posted. I'll leave the link here and also in the video description. After the talk, we returned to the port. Yacht Port Cartagena provided the facilities to accommodate the followers' boats, our own boats, all close to the area where, along with the attendees, we set up a barbecue with food and drinks. Everyone kindly brought something, and we had the opportunity to try products from all over. And a paella that Angel made for us, what a paella. I'd like to say I have a ton of images from that afternoon, but we had such a great time that we spent little time recording, we spent more time drinking. I mean eating. It even got dark for some of us there, sharing experiences and relaxed conversations. Of course, what a windy day we had all day. With all the wind from the previous day and the long trip I had taken, I didn't want to miss the opportunity to at least sail. It was starting to seem like my idea of the Mediterranean with calm, crystal clear waters and good weather was fading by the moment.
Yeah, that's the second time it's happened to you, huh?
Always I am cursed. Well, for them I am blessed, because I bring them water to the places where it doesn't rain, but for me I am cursed.
I'm like a rain shaman.
Invite me to some desert. Next trip to Almeria. You have to remove the awnings from the greenhouses, and I'll go to Almeria, because it's going to rain. So, on Sunday we got up a bit early, and a small group of hardy sailors gathered, ready to embark on a 5-hour journey to return the 50-footer to its home port in San Pedro del Pinatar at the northern corner of the Mar Menor. We were all there. Jorge, the friend of the breakwaters and organizer of this whole event. Luis, the proud and generous boat owner who provided us with accommodation for these days. Elliot, Mr. X, whom we dragged into this adventure and who would arrange our transportation back.
Mr. X.
Yes, I'll tell you why it's Mr. X. I can't tell it here in a video. Sergei, the chief engineer, also responsible for a good part of the videos we've used for this, and myself, the king of toys, who had brought stuff like it was for a wedding. We set off on the journey where we would encounter a bit of everything. The Mediterranean Sea is far from calm and stable. What can I say? I'm used to the nobility of the Cantabrian Sea. We northerners are straightforward. After a few days of wind and storm, there's a heavy swell with big, long, rolling waves where you climb the wave mountains and descend, watching your boat accelerate on the way down, and this lasts for days until the sea recovers some stability. But here, phew! In the Mediterranean, we left the port of Cartagena with a strong wind, watching the buildings fade into the rocky coastal landscape. Everything seemed the same color, except for the striking rescue vessels, cargo ships, warships, and the occasional oil platform. The overcast sky and very rough sea accompanied us as we left Cartagena. At least the wind was favorable and gave us a chance to sail, and at a good speed initially, but don't think it lasted long. The wind soon started to decrease, as did the size of the waves. Before reaching Cabo de Palos, some dolphins came to visit us, which always brightens the journey. For us northerners, it's surprising how close to the coast you find dolphins here. Back home, you have to go miles and miles out. As we approached Cabo de Palos, the sea was calm as a plate. The sky seemed to clear a bit and the journey became increasingly tranquil. Everything changed, but really fast. At least it was calm enough to take out some of the toys and try to get some drone footage. And I say try because the closest thing to drone shots that I managed to record on the SD card were these. I'm simulating a drone.
It didn't fly or what?
The drone flew. Great, we landed, we did everything, it didn't record anything, the stop button doesn't work, and if you don't stop, it doesn't record.
I can't leave you alone.
Already at the sight of the Mar Menor, I marveled at the size of it and the amount of buildings that could be seen, and even more knowing that behind it hid a small inland sea. I had not yet had the opportunity to see it from land. That same afternoon, I would go there. As I said, how deceptive this Mediterranean is. In just a few minutes, the weather changed completely, and even before reaching Isla Grossa and El Farallon, a relentless and heavy rain worthy of Santander itself accompanied us. I think the only one happy about it was Luis, because he knew he wouldn't have to water his broccoli crops for a few days. The rest of us were thinking, what a bummer it's raining! We passed between Isla Grossa and El Farallon. Not the Pharaoh, because we're not in Egypt, although if you looked around, it seemed all brown and dry like it. And from there we headed towards the entrance of the port of San Pedro del Pinatar, which was the final destination of this trip and adventure. Entering the port, eating something thanks to our kind host Luis and his wife, and then heading back a bit cramped to Cartagena to pick up the car and start my journey home. On Sunday afternoon and evening, even before leaving Santander, I had decided that I would spend it in La Manga, in a hotel to rest well before starting the journey back the next morning. Well, rest well. Those who know me already know that I know little about resting, but doing a bit of kite surfing in the Mar Menor was what I really wanted to do. How naive and unfortunate I am. Zero wind, heavy rain all afternoon, all night, and the start of the journey back with more rain. All this left me longing to sail in the Mar Menor, dive in the Murcian waters, and enjoy the good weather and sunshine that never showed up.
In other words, you didn't do anything for what it's worth nothing.
Eat, drink, and well sail a little. It will have to be another time. Let's see if I can find a new excuse to return and bring Carlos with me. For now, after sunrise, it was time to head back home. It seemed like the world was upside down. Murcia was drenched in rain, while arriving in Cantabria revealed desert-like landscapes, fitting my preconceived and mistaken idea of the south. At least when you return home, there is always someone waiting for you, eager to see you with an overwhelming joy. Well, as you've seen, leaving home for an event like this, even though I don't really enjoy talking, is always worth it. Plus, getting together with the council members who aren't just YouTubers but friends in such a relaxed environment like we had there. In this case, it was collaborative where everyone contributed, everyone paid their own way, and we went with the intention of having a good time. We succeeded and we had a great time.
They were, let's see, were they vacations or were they not vacations, David?
No, it was a terrible commitment that I was forced into. If the weather had been nice, what I would have loved was to enjoy Murcia like it's shown in the movies with sunshine, clear waters, diving. I brought all my toys, but no, it was like here where in 5 minutes it's going to start pouring rain.
Yeah, I was disappointed by that.
I was a bit disappointed, you know, and I went with the intention of enjoying myself a bit. I really want to sail in the Mar Menor, and like I said, any excuse will do. If someone invites me to give a lecture there, I'll go. Well, you might have to pay for my trip and get my wife to sign a note saying it's something important, but I love it. I love traveling, I love talking, I love being with people, and you receive so much warmth. Carlos has enjoyed it at other events too. Next time, hopefully all those southern myths will come true a bit more, at least the one about the heat and good weather, because...
Yes, because the other one, the one in What's it like? The one in the south. What do you have to
Making
do?
good
That's it.
love? Maybe I'll go with my wife to Malaga to see if the myth is true? This has been an enjoyable episode. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed recording it. Thank you very much for your attention, sailors. I hope you liked today's episode. If so, please give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to receive notifications. If you're having trouble understanding me because Spanish isn't your native language, you know we also have the YouTube channel in English. In any case, we'll see you in a couple of weeks in a new episode of The Low Cost Sailor. Wow, what a trip that was. The worst thing is that it's too far south. I mean, it's too far. Can't you bring the south a little bit closer?